Hi, I'm Jonathan Sheck. I'm talking to Chris Gordon here on Hellblazer.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be in this wonderful world right now. You're tuned in to Hellblazer Biz, and I am your host, as always, Chris Gordon. Today, I bring to you an actor with a huge, extensive career of over 90 things at the moment, been film and television, and he's worked with some of the biggest names out there, the likes of Tom Hanks, one of my favourite actors of all time. Tom Hanks, people. Anyway, he's recently been on our screens on the hit DC show Legends of Tomorrow, where he played Jonah Hex. So without further ado, I introduce to you Mr. Jonathan Sheck. Everyone, I have the pleasure and the honour of the company of Jonathan Sheck today. Hey, Jonathan.
Hey, Chris.
It's finally great to meet you. I really appreciate you doing this.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Good, good. And yeah, so basically, we've just discussed, I've got a fair number of questions we shall try and get through, just to sort of find out about yourself and a bit more about yourself and get that so fans can understand who Jonathan Sheck is and about the roles you've played and where we might see you next and what you're up to.
Okay.
Cool. So starting out, what kind of made you decide to become an actor in the first place?
That's a really tough question because it was so many different places in my life that I decided that I was going to be an actor
Hmm.
or that I was an actor. Accepted the fact that I actually am an actor. But the first initial time was an acting class in college because I grew up in a small town and I went to a university and I was in college and I took this one class. It was like introduction to acting,
Hmm.
and it just kind of like burst my bubble that this was like a real thing. Like they had
Right.
plays in my high school, and I just wasn't that guy who participated in any of that. That was not something that we did.
Yeah.
But I was an artist. I was a painter,
Hmm.
um, and that was something that everyone said you're never going to make any money doing when you go to college. So you have to
Yeah.
find something that like economics was my major,
Right.
but then I took acting and I could see how it was like a creative endeavor, and I had no idea what got inside me, but I just said I got to do this for a living.
Cool. That's really quite a nice, inspiring story. I think that's people know anyway because if they listen to me, they know I drone on. I kind of started out that way, but my parents, as bless them, as love them to bits, they did this. They're like, you've got to get a career, which is going to give you money. Acting's not a career, because it's not. And they did that, and I kind of did German at uni, and I steered away and ended up in an office job. But I'm trying to get back into it now. I did a film last year, an indie film, as a featured extra, which is so I've started back on the path again. But yeah, it's something I wish I'd done a long time ago, but at the time it was my parents, bless them, they had the well meaning and I followed their path. So at the age of 40, 20 years after I gave it up, I've doing my best to try it, start it out again because it's it's something I think. Speaking to you and obviously speaking to the people I speak to, there's a passion that just runs through and through your body and through your bones about acting, and that's what it is. It's not just a job. It's a vocation, really, isn't it? It's what it's what you live. It's your passion that you live, and you feel it rather than like 9 to 5 job, which I've done for so many years. I can say I don't actually I don't feel the passion as
You
much
know, a
as you
lot
do.
of lot of working actors don't feel that anymore,
Really.
and that's what you encounter when someone's working so hard, so long,
Mm.
doing the same thing. I and my my luck and my it's kind of a double edged sword. The thing that makes me constantly have to fight to get the next job, but
Hmm.
also when I get that job is to excite those around me about what the craft is truly all about.
Yeah.
And that's never ending. You know, nowadays in the political environment that I live in, actors are looked upon as a negative thing. That if someone has a vocal opinion about anything, they should just shut up about it. But they're people too. And the one thing
Yeah.
about They always step in somebody else's shoes,
Hmm.
so they can relate a lot more than most people have to.
Yeah,
You know, um, it's a gift that actor has to bear, and so that's how I look at my craft and what I do.
that's really cool. I mean, what you touched on a point there, which is really, really something that just it enrages me when I see tweets going out saying, because I've seen many tweets, especially about the current political situation that's out there, and obviously actors like yourselves, you do, you've got your opinions, and you go out there, and then there's all these people who just troll and come on and say, why, just because you're an actor, you think you can talk about this? Why, just stick to acting, really? But like you said, you're people. You've just got just as many thoughts and worries and concerns and hopes and dreams as anybody else. So why are you not allowed to say those as much as anybody else is? So yeah, that kind of winds me up because I've seen that quite prevalent in the last well, it's last 10 months, I think, 11 months perhaps, since a certain
Yeah,
campaign started.
yeah, I know. It's
And
been amazing, unbelievable.
yeah, well, what a
And
rigmarole that's
actually,
been.
it, it, it's I'm not an historian. I don't take every single moment of my day to learn about how the process and everything. I can see certain things about my field of expertise, in which is the entertainment world.
Yeah.
I understand how programming works
Mhm.
in networks, and from being on shows waiting to get picked up or something like that. And the news has a lot to play with it.
Mhm.
Um, they have their opinion and they push it, but they have programming they have to do for 24/7, as opposed to just the nightly news that I used to listen to as a
Yeah.
kid. Now programming, so you see a lot of talking heads and media frenzy building up on one side or the other, and that part of it really bothers me. I mean, the candidates, they Donald Trump doesn't have any political ambitions, but that's why he won the election in the
Mhm.
United States of America. It's crazy, but it makes sense. It just makes sense when people want change, as you guys know out there, and with everything that's going on.
Yeah, Brexit, the same thing.
Yeah,
Was,
thanks. Like change, change, change. Like what's going on?
yeah, yeah.
Good. Change can be really a positive, really amazing thing, but change really makes people pissed off.
Yeah, yeah, it does. I've got to say, with Brexit, I was very vocal on that one. Yeah.
Well, good.
Myself,
That's
that's
thank
what.
God. That's the one thing I always say.
Yeah, well, it's true.
Thank God we are allowed to, because in most countries they would come to your door.
Oh yeah,
You
exactly.
know,
Yeah,
true.
yeah. I wouldn't put it past it before too long that they probably will. Yeah.
I'm hiding. God.
Yeah, it's one. I think it's. But yeah, you're right. Because it's thank God we do live in a place where we can actually come out and do and say things like that and have debates and open debates between people. It's
Yeah,
great.
it's
Uh,
great. It
It
really is.
is. It
Just
is. It's
people
fun.
can't take it for granted, and they gotta learn a little bit more tolerant and acceptance, and
Hmm.
yeah, that
Yeah,
is the big.
exactly. Tolerance and acceptance is something very, very important indeed. Cool. What kind of inspirations did you have when you started out in the acting world and maybe in personal or otherwise? What kind of drove you on and who drove you on?
It's interesting. I I had an acting coach when I came to Los Angeles.
Hmm.
Who was my inspiration. It was like a world burst open of all these understandings of the emotions that I felt inside myself, and the expression, and getting on stage, and putting myself on the line. And it felt like a lot of the athletic things that I had done in my life. Um, but then when I really had to touch on to the understandings that I had inside myself, and then trying to express those understandings,
Hmm.
that was all him. He would bring that all out of me and showed me how life was viewed in a different way than I had ever seen. And so it was my acting coach in the very beginning, and he believed in me, which my parents had always believed in me.
Hmm.
People always thought I was great in one way or the other, maybe not so great in others. Um, but he believed that I could succeed,
Yeah.
and that was the inspiration that I needed.
Awesome. Was that Roy?
Yeah,
Yeah. See, I did a little bit of research for you there. Roy London, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
to be fair as well, he's what is it? Michelle Pfeiffer, Brad Pitt, even Forrest Whitaker. Among some of the people. So you've got
Oh, it was the most amazing class in the world. I mean, literally, I think maybe that moment in time was
hmm
unprecedented.
Excellent, excellent. It's really nice to hear that you had someone who was that sort of nurturing and that inspiration to push you through and get you to where you are. Because I think to have that in such a sort of an early stage of your career is a really great way to focus the rest of your life and the rest of your how you manage your career from then on.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Roy passed away in '83.
He did, yeah. I saw that as well, sadly. But
Very, 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 a very young part of my life. I would,
mm,
I would be Brad Pitt if Roy hadn't passed.
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, because he was Brad was my class, but he was older than me, and he was kind of
Oh yeah, he
it
was
was
yeah.
like he was graduating as I was entering. So
Oh, that is a shame. Yeah, never mind. But
Tucker,
yeah,
check.
well, yeah, never mind.
There's,
You're still out
there's
there.
only Pitt, man.
Sorry.
There's only one Brad Pitt.
Oh, yeah, true. Oh, cool. Kind of, if someone made a movie, these are a bit off the wall questions which were sent in. If someone made a movie on your life and you could choose any actor in the world to play you, who would you pick and why?
Hmm. I don't know, man. Wes Bentley
hmm
worked with Wes. He's just a really good actor, so he takes everything real serious, and he actually would take the necessary steps to find the truth.
Yeah.
Milo Ventimiglia is another great. Um, he's on the guy's on this huge show. This Is Us.
hmm Oh yeah.
He's and now he's taking off, man. He's done. He's like it's gonna be it's on for Milo. I mean, he's always very very well, but
Yeah.
he would take on every part of me. He'd probably be a little bit better than Wes. And
Cool.
then Adrian Gagne, just because we've been brothers on two movies.
hmm
But I think he would find it harder to play me. So
Right.
Milo Ventimiglia would play me.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. Cool. Sorry, this is another strange. I'm laughing at the question because I've just seen it there. It's just if you were an animal for a day, what kind of animal would you be? Again, sorry, this is a completely off the wall question.
I got a little 3-year-old, so that's not that hard.
Yeah, oh, that's
Uh,
true. Yeah.
yeah, I'm always a lion.
Oh, yeah. The master of dominance.
Yes.
King of the jungle. Yeah, no. As I say, I've got a 10-year-old in there. Yeah, so that question's quite quite apt as well. Because even at 10, you got the role playing and makeups you got to do is great. You
Yeah.
lions, snakes, elephant. It's a lot of fun to do. Excellent. So obviously you've had a great career on screen so far. Long way to continue. And you've been in some very very fantastic films and shows themselves, and you've worked with some of the best people or people who I think are, obviously my eyes are some of the best, really really awesome actors. One was in Donovan, a TV series. You got to work with John Voight. It wasn't long, but you had some work with John Voight himself. How was that? How did you feel to work with someone
Uh,
like him?
John Boy's pretty exceptional.
Yeah.
Um, Never in my life have I ever encountered a man who was so honest
Mhm.
and seeking of the truth. Here's the story about John Voight.
Go on.
When I first was in Hollywood, I had two roommates. We were all actors.
Mhm.
We we had laser discs. Remember
Okay.
laser discs?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay, so we had Days of Thunder, and we had the Dustin Hoffman one, Cowboy, Midnight Cowboy.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And Midnight Cowboy. Those two DVDs,
Mhm.
Laserdisc. That was it. We couldn't afford anything else.
Right.
And I was in my room studying my lines for my acting class,
Mhm.
and there was a knock on the door. It was early morning. It was probably like 10 o'clock in the morning. I answered the door, and the man at the door said, "My daughter is doing a photo shoot with Alberto Tudlo, who's a famous photographer. He lived above us,
Right.
and they went out for sunrise, and I'm waiting for her to get back." And I'm
Mhm.
like, "Well, I could tell you they haven't come back because I could see their car drive past.
Yep.
But you're more than welcome to stay in our living room. I just have some work to do in our living room. I got him some water or something like that."
Mhm.
And I said you could watch, TV, or we got these two movies. So I go back into my room, and my roommate comes in probably 2, 3 minutes later, and literally grabs me and slams me against the wall and says, "Oh my God, do you know who's in our living room?" It was John Voight.
Whoa. how, how awesome.
We were like, what? We both ran out there, and I looked at him, and he was laughing because he knew that we had this. He could hear us going, "What? Were you kidding me? Oh my God!" And so we were like, "Hey, showed him Midnight Cowboy. He
Mhm.
was like, "That's great." So, we're studying acting. So he didn't remember that when I had worked with him, but
Right.
working on the set with him, I have this thing when I get on sets from working at really high levels that I get really, really um, purposeful
Mhm.
and driven. And I think he just was so accepting of the fact that I wasn't willing to just let things just go by and get the day done. It's not that I got in the way of any of that,
Yeah.
but I take risk.
Mhm.
The only way acting is ever good is if you take risk. I tried different things, but man, he played with me every beat, no matter what I brought. He wanted me to bring more. He just loved. We loved working together. And
Awesome.
he was so good to me. He's the only man
Mhm.
or person ever. There's a couple other guys that have put me up for jobs, but he consistently called to get me in Texas Rising. He
Right.
called those people and said, "You need to hire Jonathan. He's perfect for this. He's perfect for this.
Wow.
Great guy. He's a great actor. You need to hire him."
Bloody hell.
No one does that in Hollywood, man.
No, that's really, really pretty cool.
Yeah. I
That,
mean, I know Tom Hanks made some phone calls after that thing you do and helped me get some jobs.
yeah.
He's not the only one, but yeah, John Boy's a great guy. A lot of fun. Still to this day, I consider him a really good friend.
Oh, that's amazing news to hear because again see some people like that on screen and the characters that they play as well. So it's but I just can't imagine the fact, like you say, it doesn't happen in Hollywood that you get recommendations and like people pick up the phone and say you've got to do this. That's awesome.
I know, it's awesome.
Really is cool. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Tom Hanks as well. I've got him there because obviously that thing you do is a classic film. How is it filming Tom? I mean, he's. I mean, to be fair to him, I'll bow down. He's one of my favourite all-time actors. The guy's just throughout the years, he's just obviously he's
Yeah,
well developed. So, I mean, I hear you've obviously, I believe you've kept in touch with him as well from things from Donna,
yeah.
your your friend Donna. So yeah, I mean, is he as sort of got that sort of presence when he's around as he seems to have?
He's an amazing man. He's a lot of fun to be around.
Hmm.
He's a very soulful man. He keeps to himself. He's stoic in his nature,
Hmm.
but man, he's just fun. He can make you laugh nonstop. When we made that movie between him and Steve Zahn, I just could not stop laughing. Um, and then they just kept me under their wing throughout the years, and I got to go to a lot of ball games with them because they know I love baseball.
Yeah.
He's always made sure that if the tickets were available, I was the first one to get them.
Hmm.
And you know we've shared many a moment through my life, man. He's always been there, no
Yeah.
matter what. And he's always a phone call away. He'll get up. I mean, he's just a great human being.
Awesome. Awesome.
And throughout the whole political chaos of it's tough when people want to start threatening and stuff
Oh
like that.
god, yeah.
Like, you know, and I just always turn on Tom because he just knows the right thing to say. If he doesn't, he's not going to stand up unless the world's going to end.
Hmm.
Because the political issue has always been in all of our countries has been
Yeah.
very difficult, but we're very lucky to be free.
Very true.
So that's the bottom line. He's like, I hope I vote for. He said that he goes, I hope he does such a good job that I vote for him next time. That's a brilliant thing to say.
Yeah. Yeah, because no matter what he's in there, it's like, well, okay,
Yeah, you
yeah,
gotta.
I
He's in there.
disagree with him, but it's like, well, you've got 4 years. Let's see what you can. Let's see if you can what you are going to do.
He's taking steps right now that he said he was going to take. He's a brand new president. He's never been political, so
Yeah,
sure.
we shall see. I'm just concerned because I know one of the things he said was that he wouldn't be out of the fact he'd be nuking. He would put the nuclear bomb over Europe if need be. So it's like only one of his wilder days of campaigning. But
I, there's got to be people keeping him from that.
oh yeah, yeah.
People like going, no, 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 no,
Do
don't
not
push.
press.
No,
You
it's
just
not Twitter.
yeah,
It's not Twitter.
yeah,
Don't push the button.
yeah, exactly. Do not press this. Yeah, but Glasgow, do not press this. But oh god, Luke Boyce, he's a friend of mine. He's actually director. He owns Shatterglass Films. Him and his wife Kerry, and they'd love to know if you've noticed a strong cult following with That Thing You Do. It's one of his favourite films of all time, and he finds people all the time who love it as much dearly as much as he does. But it doesn't seem to get a lot of cultural attention. So have you noticed there's a strong cult following for it?
Oh yeah, it's the biggest. Yeah, it's a massive cult following. Everywhere I go, all the time, people recognize me. As long as I don't have my beard and the hat on,
Hmm.
people are like, "Man, I love that thing you do," and it's never like, it's never a question of like, "Man, that was a good movie." Everyone's like, "Man, I love that movie."
Yeah.
2, 3 times a day, but I love that movie.
Hmm.
I'm like, it's a great movie.
Well, it is as well for something to last that long. People still have those feelings about it. It's good. You did something good in that.
Well, it's the 20th anniversary, and I was so hoping that the band would get together. And
Oh, that would have been cool.
and the funny thing is, like, I guess because I on Twitter or I don't know why, but they call me. Like,
Hmm.
Will Ferrell's company called me Funny or Die. They wanted us to do like all these people wanted us to get together and do skits and do
Yeah.
different things, and Steve Zahn wasn't always keen on us getting together and playing together because he says we're not a band and we
Yeah.
suck. And we did. I was like, but we could practice and get really good. And
Yeah. Yeah.
he's like, and no, he goes, no, we're all actors. We pick. I can pick, but we're not musicians. We're not going to get on stage and play.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, okay. And then when we do skits, it was like the question of whether doing the skit was fair. And Tom Everett Scott and me had a long conversation about it, and then basically it's just not our characters. We played them in the movies, but Tom Hanks wrote them. He owns them,
Yeah.
and he may have plans, and it's not our place to take those characters and play them anywhere else.
Hmm.
So we just kind of just waited till something bigger came along, and Donnie Wahlberg said to me he wanted us to open for the New Kids on the Block.
Oh.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guys, I was like, we can't play. We're not very good. He goes, oh, no one plays nowadays. Look at Mariah Carey.
I was about to say that. I was going to say they're saying, you're all actors, you're not musicians. So, but there's a hell of a lot of people who've made their millions on the fact and they don't sing live or play live. So you just pre-record it and mime.
Yeah, there's one time I had an idea about um, me going down to Nashville to
Hmm.
become a country singer,
All right.
and someone recognized me from That Thing You Do and basically gave me a record contract. That would be like the story. We thought that was so funny. And I called Tom and said, "What do you think of this story?" And he thought it was great. He's like, "Go for it," and then it didn't happen. But
Ah. Yeah. Jonathan Shake, the country star.
that was the greatest thing ever.
That's pretty cool.
Cowboy hat. Oh man,
Yeah.
lip syncing, doing Milli Vanilli all the way through.
Yeah, dressed all yeah. Millie Vanilli dressed as a cowboy. Nice. Nice. They also want you to know. I'll show this picture to you. They said they're quite new parents themselves, and they've said that their baby has a Wanderers onesie.
Yes. I wonder what happened to the Oneaters.
Sorry, yeah, pronounce that completely wrong. Thank you. See, it's
That's
been 20 years. I can't remember.
it's the greatest thing. Sweet movie. Too bad I'm such a jerk in it, but he had his reasons. And all throughout my life, man, so many artists,
Hmm.
musicians have come up to me and said, "You were so right. If it wasn't for you, that band would have never happened." And then, you got to push the labels to continue to, get your next song out. He goes,
Hmm.
"That's the story of." So many people said, "That's the story of our band."
Awesome.
I'm like, well, that was my job. That's what I had to be. Is the asshole.
Yeah, yeah, to be yeah.
Not being focused.
Hmm.
Hey, just when we were making it, all I kept thinking about was, why is this girl coming along with us? I kept saying, why is Faye here? It's like we're going on stage. Like, why is Faye here? Like, this isn't fair. I don't.
Oh dear. I don't know, but yeah, you're right. Sorry, going back to the. I guess it's just like acting with those guys. You've got to push it and push it and push it to get
Yeah,
published. So yeah,
get
that's
the
but
next song.
yeah, exactly. You'll have to do a reunion though. 20 years, come on. Say, talk to the
And
guys. Get Steve's arms into it and twist his arm.
I wish Tom. Um, I was hoping that Tom would do like a series on the Playtone.
Yeah, that'd be all right. Yeah, 20 years on, see how the guys came out.
Instead of like doing a sequel and make it, be fun in 1984, making music in 1984.
Mm-hmm. Bloody hell.
A lot of fun. The 80s, wow.
80s was the best music genre there ever was.
Not the most fun.
Oh yeah, I just love it. It's just such a diverse era. It's everything was in there. You just had so much. Yeah, like now it's all the same. For me, music's all the same. It sounds the same. There's nothing really different. There's one or two who might be, but slightly different in their styles. But in the 80s, you just turn the radio on, and in 10 minutes you could have countless styles of music coming on in there, and it was just yeah. I'm an 80s kid myself, so
Yeah,
yeah.
80s would be good, huh?
Oh, it'd be awesome that. Cool. I've skipped through my questions now. Bear with me.
All right.
So, okay, so you've obviously played in various genres as well, with your difference. I mean, you've been in police dramas, you've been in crime. I mean, I remember your dad is a retired Baltimore policeman himself.
Yeah, he's a retired Baltimore City police officer.
Excellent. Kudos to him for doing that job. Did did you get much help from him with the police roles that you went for? I guess you can always just his
Yeah,
experiences.
my whole life has been surrounded by police officers and judges and
Hmm.
lawyers, and so the criminal justice system is something that I've been around, wholeheartedly. So I
Yeah,
really understood that very, very well. And when I get to play those type of roles, it's easy for me.
yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah.
jargon, the way that they handle things, and it's much easier than like a doctor.
Oh
I've never
yeah,
played.
yeah. I mean, I guess that's true. I mean, that's what you've been brought up. My dad was a minister. He was a United Reformed Church minister.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's probably where I get my talking from and reaching out to people without without feeling. I mean, again, it's just something that people see in me. It's something I can talk a lot and sort of calm people as well. And it's probably just purely because again, like you say, oh, that I was brought up during that era of putting it all through and listening and soaking in what the environments were like.
right. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, but yeah, it's obviously having that for a police when you're an actor yourself, and you've had a police father yourself, father in the police force yourself, then yeah, it does make those kinds of roles a lot easier and
yeah.
more natural.
I tell all the actors, that are coming up, it's like it's a whole different environment with social media and celebrity.
Hmm.
A lot of people that are just celebrities can get roles that actors have fought for all their lives. It's not to say that people can't just step in there and do a really good job of acting, but there's a craft to acting.
Yeah.
But one thing that is definitively important to do is to excel and go towards many different parts of your life.
Hmm.
Like become a lifeguard.
Yeah.
Because then when you want to play a lifeguard, you know how to play a lifeguard.
Yeah.
You know, Before when I used to play a role, like I played Harry Houdini, I went to Vegas and I studied with Siegfried and Roy. I studied with Lance Burton, the greatest magicians of all time.
Hmm.
Time to do that anymore, and they wanted to cast me nowadays as Harry Houdini because I would have to, go against all these other actors. Before it was just me,
Yeah.
but and so yeah, I think it's really important to excel in a lot of different things.
Hmm.
Like if you were in the military and they had a need for a military guy and you could act and you had the skill set of doing that, you're helping the production that much more.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. That's just reminded me of a story I mentioned with them. I had Kevin Rahm on the other day, and
Kevin, Kevin,
Kevin Rahm, he's a
yeah,
new.
he was on my he was on Christina's first sitcom that she had ever done.
Really?
Yeah, and then I did a play with him.
Awesome.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. But yeah, sorry, you just mentioned the military thing and the acting because I was in the reserve army and the reserve navy for a while, and we did some Monty Python sketches, uh, and it was pretty much we had a poncho on the front. I explained this in the last one. We had a poncho wearing it down the front, singing. Came on, sidled on all sideways. Four of us in a row sang "Sit on My Face," sit on my face and tell me that you love me. That, and then and we turned around and had nothing on underneath, so it was just bare behinds. It was just, yeah. You just reminded me of that little story I mentioned. I just flicked in my brain talking about the army and acting. But we used to do it all the time. We used to walk up and down mountains and cheer everyone up by reciting Blackadder and Monty Python. Although I like to think we cheered everybody up. Probably pissed
Maybe
everyone
some
off.
the saggy ass that they saw.
Yeah. I wasn't as big as I was then. As I am now, sorry. Cool. I mean, which kind of genre do you like the best? Because I mean, I say you've had police, you've had crime, I mean, you've played Judas himself. Judas Iscariot too. What's the best genre that you enjoy being in?
Well, I really love comic books.
Hmm.
I think I kind of thought that I would always play Wolverine.
All right, cool. Yeah, I can see that with you.
Yeah, I I was a very little guy
Hmm.
when I was growing up. I was a 98-pound wrestler, and I could, I was just picked on and everything, and as little, so I started lifting weights when I was in high school.
Yeah.
I hated getting cut from all the sports programs that I loved.
Hmm.
Um, so when I got to my senior year, I grew, but I got muscular as can be, and so having muscle and being a performer was something that not many people really kind of was like into because you would always look at it as a cheesy aspect of it.
Yeah.
I liked Arnold, but I liked Jason Patric as an actor, Daniel
Hmm.
Day Lewis, Tom Hanks. I could see their skill set was a little different than the guys that are just doing action films.
Yeah.
However, I love the guys doing action films, but I thought, man, I could really do both.
Hmm.
And they really they really didn't like that idea too much when it first came out, and they made me lose a lot of weight.
All right.
But that's what I wanted to do was be a comic book guy to
Yeah.
really get because the comic books are so deep, man. They
Oh,
they
they
get
are.
into the misunderstandings and the darknesses of the soul and why they are what they are
Hmm.
and then they get great skill set to overcome them and help people that can't help themselves.
Exactly. Yeah, very, very true. And I mean that. I guess that means it was like a dream. Well, it's kind of a really good dream goal to become Jonah Hex then for Legends of Tomorrow.
It was a lot of fun. I was really excited, and that the first episode yeah, it was like I was playing a real person.
Hmm.
I did as much research as I had done when I played Harry Houdini or Judas Iscariot, which is not much on Judas, but and the other I played several other real people, but I really you have to study them. You have to find out everything that they do. Like I was going to play Montgomery Clifton. Um, there's so much information on Montgomery Clift, but there was just as much on Jonah Hex, and there's so much. Every time they wrote about him or they put him out there,
Hmm.
they were creating from the same essence of what Jonah Hex was. So I did my research, and I had known him when I was a boy,
Yeah.
and I had to remember more. And now I really think he's one of probably the most important characters that could be portrayed on Legends or Flash or one of those shows,
Hmm.
because he wears a Confederate uniform
Yeah.
in the states. As much people don't want to realize, it's politically divided. Uh, they always say our country's divided, but it's really the South and the North.
Hmm.
A little bit different. It's a little bit different than
Yeah.
when it was
But
then.
yeah, there's still a north-south divide. I mean, you can say that in the UK as well. There's a north-south divide, but in the US, yeah, I know exactly where you're
Did they
coming
really
from with
say
that.
that? Is it true?
Yeah, there's a north-south divide. They put all the riches in the south, and then the north they say is like the poor, and they
Yeah.
neglect it all the time.
Yeah. So when people go to vote in the South,
Mm.
it's not even a question, man. They don't think of anything else about but being from where they are. So they vote. They're mostly Republicans for the most part. They know that their electoral votes or whatever is going to go straight to the Republican Party because they've been part of that for so long.
Yeah.
There's not much change going to happen in that aspect, which is fine. I don't mind because I know I have family in the South. My
Hmm.
parents were in the Mason Dixon line, as they call it. So I get all that, and I just wish Hollywood would understand it and accept it a little bit more.
Mm.
They don't, so it stinks. Jonah Hex could be probably the one of the characters that can make people really understand a lot of the things that Hollywood fights for.
Yeah.
But when you turn your nose to it, or you just don't want to hear it, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. And the more you do turn it away like that, and you don't embrace it, the more the bigger the divide. It's just that's how it happens, because the more you ignore a certain, well, pretty much like that, and you don't. I'm trying to think of the right words, but yeah, yes. But if you don't embrace, you just ignore things. Then
Yep.
the divide gets bigger. It's never going to get healed, and you're never going to have that sort of integration as much as you could have. So yeah,
Yep.
having a guy wearing a Confederate uniform, being a huge, being the hero, and sort of showing, look, this is what I'm doing. you know.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much they could use Jonah Hex for, and that on those series
Yeah,
nowadays. I mean, a major, major way.
definitely. I mean, hopefully as well, we'll see him, um, see a return to it. How did you actually find out about the role anyway when it comes up?
Hold on, my way. Come on. I'm just doing an interview. They get actually get sent to an audition. It was right down the street, so
Oh, cool.
I saw it was Jonah Hex, and I was like, wow, Jonah Hex. And I went there. I went to the audition. There was about 30 guys there. I was like,
Hmm.
great, But they brought me in pretty early. I guess I got there early because I was so close.
Yeah.
But there was cowboy hats. Pretty much everybody. I knew everybody from
Mm.
some show or something.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, I want to win this. He's just got a great sense of humor to him. He's like Clint Eastwood.
Mm. I love Clint Eastwood. Yeah, very, very droll, very dry, brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. Obviously, I mean, I'm talking to you now. My next question is pretty obvious. The answer is: would you like to return to be more, if you can?
Well, it'd be a shame not for Jonah to come back. It was a lot of fun because there's so much people paid attention to it. You
Hmm.
know, the first episode was like this great introduction to Jonah Hex, and because the movie hadn't done so well,
Yeah, yeah, that would sadly.
Yeah, they needed to see Jonah Hex again,
Yeah.
and I got to show them off a little bit. And then the second one, that had some political issues. I think that they're playing out in a very good way.
Hmm.
And it was great to work with Katie Lutz. I had a lot of fun with Katie. She was a very talented actress, and she's got a big future ahead of her.
Yeah.
Um, it's nice to step in there when they're mid season and they're all friggin' tired, and they look at you and go, "What the hell is this guy doing?"
Yeah. Did you? Did they welcome you in there as well? Because obviously, I mean, like you said, they've been filming. They were mid-season on Legends. Most of them have been together for at least a year or two, a couple of years in their respective shows as well. So, what was that? Feel it felt like coming into something like that as well.
They're all wonderful. They're all embracing. Uh, everyone's always. I don't know if people are always concerned about their own well-being. Their families. I tell you, Brandon, he's such a good human being. But man, he just wanted to get home to his son.
Yeah.
And he has to do it. This is what we do for a living. We wait till we get the job like that, and when we have to do that consistency,
Hmm.
we got to do it. And he's missing those times with his child, and it's tough.
Yeah, I
It's
can
tough.
imagine.
But they were really wonderful, all of them, incredibly, and the crew down there. The little nuances that I had trouble with.
Hmm.
People walk through the you know the, the flight simulator. I mean, the ship so many times, and I'm like what the hell? There's a step there, like middle takes. I'm like, what, what am I doing here? What is this? You know, and they were very helpful, all of them. They even Victor Garber actually pulled me aside and said, "Jonathan, what's wrong?"
Hmm.
And I said, "I'm scared shitless." And he said, Why?" And I was like, "Because the movements aren't helping with my dialogue. They're
Mm.
actually against them." And the director told me he was sorry that he had to do that, but he had to get me in certain situations because the cast is so large.
Yeah.
And then Victor he made me help make choices that would help them and help me at the same time. He said, "Just do this, this, and this," and I was like, "Oh." And so yeah, they were really helpful in a lot of ways, not only with acting, but just making sure I felt comfortable. Um, Letting me do the acting that I do.
Hmm.
The showrunners was very, very nice to me. The writers, they found some spunk to them and a little bit of sass.
Yeah.
That was a lot of play. And then I could throw things every once in a while. Uh, I'd love to. I mean, I just I really want to be on a television series in which I could be a part of it in a
Hmm.
big way. That's really what I want, not only for my family, but just to experience the character, to go through so many things over a long period of time. I'm a long form actor from doing film for so long,
Yeah.
and I go full bore into a role, and then I got to get out of it and make that change by the end of the film,
Hmm.
and then I'm off to the next one. It'd be nice to have some sustainability with one character over a period of time. So
Cool.
Legend would be great, and I mean I couldn't imagine playing a better character than Jonah Hex.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, we can all petition and have your own spin-off series for Jonah Hex as well.
The only thing is the numbers that Jonah got a lot of numbers, but all the comic book stuff they were talking about it because they all want Jonah Hex to have his own series, or they want him to be a bigger part.
Yeah.
But man, one thing about being on a show for a long period of time is
Hmm.
this following that you get. It's unprecedented.
Hmm.
Like Katie and Brandon, and they just have the masses, and they listen. They have such a bigger, broader fan base than just someone who comes on for a couple episodes here and there.
Yeah.
So it's not my.
I was going to say, like we mentioned, talks about Matt Ryan before from Constantine, and yeah, you're right because he has just got the most devoted, huge fan base, Hellblazers called on Twitter, and follow him around everywhere. And it's and know him for that same reason because they gave I mean if they're Constantine they've given that a show, so Jonah Hex should be, I think he'd be quite comfortable in a show on his own. I really
Yeah,
do, definitely.
I, I know they dodged me as many times as they could because I've been trying like hell to get somebody to really pay attention to it because I think it'd be a great series.
They would do, yeah.
It really would be, and people
So,
don't like me as an actor, like I have the capability of doing a lot from doing so many different things over my career. But
mhm.
the one thing I haven't been able to do is like to prove myself as a box office draw, or to get people in the seats. So it's hard for investors to they may go like he's a really good fucking actor, and all the reviewers are reviewing me great, and people are liking my character, but there's not this massive like you're talking about fan base that's behind it.
Yeah, you've got over 200,000 followers on Twitter. Come on, that's not bad.
But nowadays, that's nothing, man.
It's
I mean,
more than
Twitter
I've
can
got.
be the presidency, but you got to have a lot more followers than that.
I know that's what's sad. I mean, I've only got two now. I've got nearly 3,000. So come on, it's a hell of a lot better than that. But yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I've heard that before from actors like JD Evermore was a very big advocate of that and said he goes a lot of it now is on how many followers you've got on social media, and he goes some people have got millions of followers, and in my eyes, my personal opinion is I've got no idea why they should have some, and yeah, and there's a lot of studio focus looks at that when they actually look to people who are to hire for roles as well. It's how many followers you've got on things on social media, and I can understand that from their point of view in one way, but I can't in another way because it doesn't prove talent. You might have 3 million
Yeah,
followers, but you might have zero talent, and you've only just got that because you've done some one or two things that have made it public. Um, Whereas, sorry, I've got something sticking in my leg. Whereas the likes of yourself, you're hard working through and through, um, and I mean, I'm still not gonna jealous at 200,000 followers. To be fair, that's a hell of a lot. But you know what I mean? It's like I just don't agree with the fact that it should just be they focus on social media so much, um, and it puts people who just in the limelight who I don't think should be. Personally speaking.
yeah. Well, they I understand it from the financial aspect
Yeah.
of it because they've always done this kind of format in which if someone's really hot in their careers, they'll give them a lot of opportunity because they know they're propelling somewhere,
Mhm.
and then they hire individuals who have transcended the thing in which they're doing to incorporate a large fan base.
Mhm.
A lot of that comes to do with the kind of material it is. Like if it's a soap opera, or the soapier stuff usually gets a lot of fan base.
Yeah.
Like people on and then the reality programming is really what is.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, you can see in the Bachelor and Bachelorettes they have incredible followings
Mhm.
for some reason, really because people think we're acting, which we are. Um, they can't get really as close with this medium, which is kind of really getting to know someone.
Yeah.
And for the most part, actors don't want like the school Leonardo DiCaprio that we were in. You don't want people to know who you are, so it's like
Yeah.
it's a tough thing. But then when people tell me, like casting directors tell me, like you need a larger social media following, and you got to do it. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And my wife's a publicist. She's a PR, branding person. That's what she
Mhm.
does. She tells me, got to do it. She's been driving me mad for 3 years. Like all my friends are like, "You're nuts being on there." Like, well, I have to.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I mean, I guess that's in the business that you're in, having a publicist as a wife can't be a bad thing.
Yeah, she's been great. She's actually really good at what she does. So I respect her for that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I've got another question for Jonah Hex before I kind of move to wrapping up, is Tonya. She's at Lethal Weapon HQ on Twitter. She just likes to know how long it took to do Hex's makeup, because that's another part people don't really see. Is you might have, you have a long day and then you've got all the makeup to come on and come off at the end of the day.
Yeah, so we would shave half the beard,
Hmm.
and then put the prosthetic on. And at first, the first time it took like 3.5 hours,
Yeah.
and then after that, it was the first time we did it was an hour and a half. Consistently, they would always give me like 2 hours prior to set call.
Hmm.
Never before in my life have I ever got there when the girls get there, because girls always get there before boys on movie set with the makeup.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, my, they got it down to less than an hour, just under an hour, about 45 to 50 minutes.
Well, pretty impressive.
And that's another big part about Jonah is to cast him, you have to work around the makeup.
Hmm. Oh yeah, definitely. I I spoke to Jed Brophy once, who's do you know the show Shannara Chronicles? It's kind of like Lord of the Rings type thing, but it's a series. It was by
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
yeah,
I
yeah,
haven't seen it though.
yeah. He was played the Dagda Moor, which was a full prosthetic, and I think it took him like 4 hours every time to get on, and it's 4 hours.
Yeah,
So yeah, you're right, because big part of some characters is those prosthetics, and Jonah Hex obviously that's the huge part. The half burnt faces
yeah.
is definitely the one of the one of the main draws of the character when you're looking at him. Cool. Just a couple more questions. I believe you're also an author. Have you written any? Are you writing anything new at the moment?
Well, we've had a crazy string of things that I had written before have now been published through
Awesome.
Cemetery Publications.
Mhm.
Um, Something called Heroes that we adapted from a short story by Richard Chismar. We made it into a screenplay. They did a graphic novel on it.
Mhm.
Um,
Awesome.
I think that's out right now. Actually, it's published out of the UK.
Oh, is it? Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, and then there's this. It's so weird, but I wrote this story of a Confederate soldier that haunted the battlefields of the Civil War,
Nice.
and that's coming out. It's called The Fallen,
Mhm.
and I just started seeing some of the images. Of another graphic novel which they're
Yeah.
doing, and then I wrote a book on baseball. About one of my heroes growing up. I got to know him really well, and he has the most amazing story that we're going to make into a movie this year.
Brilliant.
Um, so I wrote the book first so that we could option that into the movie, and then yeah, but I'm basically I adapt novels into screenplays.
Awesome.
That's a skill set that I acquired over the years. It took
Mhm.
a lot of my life, so I'm calling it a skill because it took so long for me to do certain things.
Well, that is a skill as well. Not everyone can turn words from a novel into something that can be put onto screen, portrayed on screen.
And I've had success with it. I've had failure with it.
Mhm.
I adapted two King novels, but neither one of them ever saw the big screen. But
Ah.
they got great praise.
Well, that's the whole point, isn't it? They might not have made it to big screen, but it's still successful because you got the praise for
Yeah, well,
them. I know that would
when
have
you
been better if
when
they were
you're
successful on the
the fact
screen.
that yeah, you were like, I really
Yeah,
needed that thing to do well.
yeah, yeah. I guess so. The Orioles, are your team, aren't they? Is it the Orioles?
Yeah, the Orioles. My
Yeah.
son's Camden from Camden Yards, in which they play.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I've got to say, baseball's something I've only ever seen a couple of times. Being British, it's not one of the things we follow, but
Um, yeah, I've done many movies with a crew of Brits and cast of Brits, and all we
yeah.
do is play soccer all day.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's all they do over here. I've got to say, I watched the highlights from the Super Bowl as well because we don't follow that, but I had to watch them after that. What a turnaround that was.
What a game! That was just like unbelievable.
Yeah, a friend of mine at work, he actually did watch it, but he went to bed. I think just before they called the extra time because he thought, oh, this is just a
Oh, you're right.
no-brainer.
No brainer.
He went to bed because obviously it's like really late for us. So I think it was like 2 a.m. So he was like, I've got to be at work tomorrow. I'll go to bed. This is a no-brainer. They won. Then he woke up in the morning. It's just a complete switch.
What? I know.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Have you got any other projects film-wise that are at the moment? Appearances on screen where we'll get to see you soon?
Well, I did a film with Antonio Banderas called Stoic.
Oh,
That'll be
nice.
out next. I don't know actually when it'll be out, but I finished at the end of the year, and then I did the Day of the Dead, like the rebranding of Day of the Dead.
Hmm.
Um, I played like the main. I played like Bub, the character in Bub, who's renamed Max.
Yeah.
He's a much more aggressive character than Bub, but that was 4.5 hours of makeup every day. I finished that last year. I don't know what's gonna happen with that. And then I filmed so much. Pretty much, those are the two films I have coming out, and really some really good things on the horizon. I'm really fighting hard to try to. It's hard in Hollywood to get back into doors that you haven't been in for a while,
Hmm.
and studio features are really. I mean, I work for the studios, but the major studio features like a Star Wars or
Yeah.
something like that. Man, you just it's so hard to get in on those things.
Mm.
And oddly enough, my dyslexic nature is getting worse and worse as I get older, uh, and I'm having a harder time in my audition. So this is really the focus of my life right now is to get Tom Brady-ish in my audition process so that I can score another big movie.
Yeah. Awesome. That'd be really cool to get.
Yeah,
Definitely, and it'd be great to see you on the screen. Hopefully, we'll see those other Day of the Dead and Stoic soon as well.
yeah. So it's gonna be a really good movie.
Yeah.
They horror film. And then the writer in me and producer in me is really starting to come out a lot more. So
Mhm.
I'm starting to put together things I'm really proud of. I'm excited by, and I know how to do it now.
Yeah.
Get the money, all that kind of stuff. So that'll
So
be really a bigger part of my focus. I think a lot of actors my age they start to turn that switch on because they don't want to be away from their family so much.
yeah, I can understand that. Like you say, with a little 3 month old,
Yeah,
3 years old, wasn't it? 3 year old.
years.
So sorry, 3 month, 3 year old. Yeah, it's you don't want to be away. I mean, I'd say there's a couple of guys I speak to on the shows and like Lucifer and stuff, and they say they're 14-hour days and they don't even they haven't even got time for their kids at the end of the day because it's just and it's yeah I just couldn't picture that. Now I'm a father myself with obviously my 10-year-old. You just want to spend as much time. You're right. You don't want to miss that growing
Yeah,
up. But
yeah. I couldn't. I mean, me being no, it's gonna. I mean, it happens all the time. I'm away forever. All I do
mm,
is sit in my hotel room and just wish I could be home with my son.
yeah, I had to do a contract job 2 years ago. Working in IT, difference not acting, but but I had to go away from
Yeah.
home, and it was the only job I could take at the time because there was nothing out there, and it meant that I had to go on a Monday morning, drive up to Blackpool, which is up north, and basically stay in a bed and breakfast hotel right through till the Friday. And the last person I spoke to was 5 o'clock when I left the office until I skyped home in the evening every night just to say good night to my son. And I had to do that for a year, and it was heartbreaking, heart wrenching. Coming home and come home at the weekend, and there'd be a battle between my son and the dog to reach me food. Come to me first. The dog had a little King Charles Spaniel. Bless her. She used to barge my son out of the way when they came running to the car to greet me. But yeah,
Awesome.
I vowed I couldn't do that again myself. So yeah, I totally with
Yeah,
you on those
it
feelings.
has to be that way, and then it's gonna have to be that way
Yeah,
because those kids cost money, and you got to take
exactly.
care.
You've got to earn the money to pay for those kids.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever see my money ever again.
Funny, what-
Yeah,
doors
it
fast,
does.
people.
Comes in and gone. Excellent. Is there anything? I mean, the last thing before I say goodbye before I stop recording, is there anything you'd like to say to the people and the fans out there?
Just if just keep fighting for all the actors out there that you like, you need to get behind them on social media and try to support them as much as you can. They may not be on your bachelor or bachelorette every single week, but they're all fighting for their families, and they're basically fighting for their lives and their opportunity to do the next performance. And I happen to be one of those actors, and I need support and fans. I never asked for fans before because they always were there, but I'm asking for more and more fans to really step up and get behind me and support me so that a Jonah Hex series could happen or something else where I get to play an officer and show a life that is so important to be seen right now. Um, the truth behind that.
Awesome, thank you.